Hello, everybody. My name is RODGON. I am an artist. I'm a designer. I'm an illustrator. I'm a graphic designer, a marketer, advertiser, and I like to live as an artist. I have decided to go on this journey about 20 something years ago, and I have not looked back. Now, every day I go on here and I teach people how to unlock their potential so that they can actually get to where I have, to follow the things that I have followed, and to be able to have at least the knowledge that I have to be able to be a better artist. So, hello, everybody. I am your favorite teacher. Hello. If you guys want to help support the channel, all you got to do as you guys enter the line is just like the stream. If you guys like the stream, we get more people here. We get like 1,000 people in the chat, and we're fucking awesome. Okay? So today, you guys asked to be doing facial expressions. You guys wanted to learn how to manipulate facial expressions to make someone happy, someone sad, someone angry, be able to have control over the facial expressions that we like to do every day is not as hard as you guys might think. Understanding how different shapes create different elements is one of the most basic instincts about caricatures or cartoons in general. But understanding how to use your eyebrows alongside your eyes and your nose and your mouth is one of the hardest things to do because it encompasses a lot of features, right? It encompasses a lot of anatomy. It encompasses knowledge that you need to adapt to. And you need to learn how body parts work, aka the eyes, the nose, the mouth. And being able to do that with different expressions takes understanding how and what parts of the body change as different body parts get adjusted. Now, I'm going to give you guys my very basic rundown of how to draw the eyes. And we're going to focus, if we're going to be focusing on the skull, I'm going to draw a really quick skull. Boom. If we're going to be drawing a skull, we're going to be focusing on this midsection. So 1, 2, 3. If we divide our heads into 3, the first 2 sections don't move. This is static. Right? The bottom part is your jaw. So all this bottom part moves. So if you open it up, this changes. It just opens up. If you have it closed, it is significantly smaller. So if you actually just focus on this section, instead of focusing on the whole entirety of the whole skull, it's a lot easier. So let's focus on this little midsection. How do we segment it? We just make a rectangle and we make 2 diamonds or 2 rectangles. And we have ourselves the nose canal, the eye socket, and the cheekbone. So within that very little amount of space, we can practice our facial expressions based on a rectangle. You don't have to draw the whole entire of the face to practice them. Okay, so understanding that we can focus on this midsection to practice these over and over, even if it's 3/4. Make the little thing a 3/4 thing by just angling it, and you have access to drawing faces in 3/4 view. Now, when you want and decide that you want to add more elements to this, you double this up. So you make this double, and you add a circle on the side. And then you have access to drawing the rest of the top of the skull. The circle will always match the side of the head. If you do this, you have access to drawing skulls and every angle incredibly easy. Okay? Focus on this section being a box and the side of the head being a box. You don't have to think of ridiculous proportions or really, really hard things. This is essentially the easiest and simplest way to draw a human skull. If you need to tilt it, you tilt the initial box, you draw all your features there, and then you just add your volume for the sides. As you get better at anatomy and perspective, you'll learn how to draw around your shapes, and you'll have access to drawing a considerable amount of cooler things without having to deal with a lot of techniques that are normally really hard. So we have 2.7 likes so far. Let's start our actual, I'm going to give you guys a little bit of lesson of the actual eye parts, because this is necessary for us to be able to go into facial expressions. But while I do that, let's say if we can't get to 10K likes. Okay, let's see if we can't get to that. So, so again, if we're going to be replicating a skull, and a skull has a couple of components that are normally very easy to identify, okay? I like to start with that little bar in the middle, that little triangle or arrow or whatever you choose to draw it as. This is going to be your nose canal. This tends to be a little higher, not normally evenly split. It's a little higher onto the nose. And why is that? Because your eyes tend to, your nose bridge has length, right? The length is going to go from here to here, and then anything extra is going to go in there. So everything is just going to connect back to that triangle anyways. It just connects to the top and the bottom. So if you draw a little triangle and you just draw a little pyramid by drawing a dot and then connecting all the lines, you have access to drawing a really simple nose in space, really easy. And it doesn't matter which way you're angling it, because you can just angle it up by changing that dot, or angle it down by changing that dot. So it's just a dot in a triangle. A dot in the triangle gives you a nose. So you don't have to overcomplicate it. So now that we know how to do two things, we know how to draw that midsection by drawing a box, a triangle, and then that triangle becomes our nose. Cool. That's awesome, right? So now this triangle is going to give us a natural little pocket if we follow it from both sides. Check it out. If we have a triangle and we follow this guideline up and we follow this guideline down, going down, we get this little fanning effect. If we just close it down like a little teardrop, it gives us our teeth and it gives us our chin, which allows us to draw mouths really easy. The triangle, we just told you, if you draw a dot and connect all the lines, you have yourself your placements for your nose. And then if you go up and you make this little rectangle that we did, it hits a barrier. When you hit that barrier, just round it out so you have yourself like this little infinity sign. That little infinity sign gets split in half like a Pokeball. And this becomes the outside edges of your eyes. So if you draw the Pokeball small, you have little eyes. If you have the Pokeball big, you have big eyes. And then you just add your eyelids. This is the line that's going to guide your eyebrows. And then from there, we double this up if we want the top of our head, and we draw a circle. So get proportions are about 1 to 3, about equal sizing. So if you draw something that has 3 equal sides, draw a triangle, you can draw yourself a nice basic human skeleton for even things that aren't necessarily proportioned like humans. Because a head like that long would not be normal. Okay, but again, you can do this with any head size, because you have now the ability to scale. Okay, now by changing the size of one of them, it changes the perspective and the characteristics of the others. So let's make the mid-size a little bit bigger this time. We'll make the head and the bottom part a little bit smaller. And we have a character that has a gigantic head, a little forehead, big eyes, and a little mouth. I don't know, a baby or cartoon character that's like a grown-up that's really old or something. Do you think learning anatomy? Yes, learning anatomy is the only way to really improve past a certain point. There's only so much you can do without learning how things move. I mean, it's a very big limit. You don't have to learn any anatomy to be able to learn how to draw bodies. You just have to learn overlapping lines, right? If you learn how to overlap your lines properly, you can draw a whole human body without a cinch of an issue. This is essentially how cartooning works. Overlapping lines give you access to being able to draw things that you wouldn't normally know if you didn't know anatomy. Okay? If you just learn how to draw that, well, you can draw almost anything, from fingers to legs, in any way, shape, or form you feel like. Okay? Even the cooler pin-uppy legs are all overlapping lines. It's just overlapping lines over overlapping lines. Okay? So it doesn't matter what you're really drawing, but if you do know anatomy and you understand how the bones work and how that connects to the rest of the body, this just helps you understand to a different extent, right? You stop guessing, and when you stop guessing, you're able to draw confidently and with your own design elements. So when you stop guessing so much, you guys will be able to be better artists in general. Because it's not a matter of copying someone. It's about learning how to unlock those things in your brain without replicating someone else. Can you please show me how to draw more expressive expressions? Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about expressions, but we were talking about the head. So that was step one. I need to teach you guys how and where your expressions work from so that you can actually draw them instead of just copying me. Okay? Because if I tell you, okay, if you draw eyes and you just play around with your eyebrows, right, and you can get a ton of different expressions, I tell you that, you're not going to go and understand what you're drawing. You're just going to draw random shapes, and you're going to get really good at doing that. And then later on, like 10 years down the line, you're going to be like, well, I was really good at this once. Well, how come I don't know how to do it anymore? Or how come I can't draw that expression? How come I can't draw those eyes? It's because you learn through copying instead of learning through analyzing and understanding why these things happen. Okay? That's where people lose. That's where people fuck up. And I'm gonna use language that resembles what is necessary here. The reason that people don't understand how to draw like a mouth or a face or anything like that is because they don't really take the time to just learn how to draw this or this. And learn the power of just learning to draw through a shape gives you so much. It gives you depth, it gives you volume, it gives you guidelines. It allows you to expand them, to make more things, right? If you go like this and you draw a circle inside and you make that circle bigger, you can make things that are exactly that same size but bigger. How is that useful? Well, that's useful when you do clothing. You find the perspective lines, you make them bigger, connect them back to the origin point, and you have yourself clothing. Okay? The reason that it's normally hard for us to think of these things is because we don't practice this perspective crap. And you guys think it's boring and it's only for buildings. No, it's not for buildings. It's for characters. It's to understand how your features work. Even a simple nose like this has perspective. We just normally don't focus on it. And since you don't focus on it, you just focus on doing a little swoopy, right? If you just go, oh, I draw my noses like that. Well, cool. But what does that give you? If I was like, okay, draw that nose from the front view, would you be able to do that? I would probably just give it a little side so that it has a little bit of volume. If I wanted that from the top, from the bottom, how would you approach that? Is it just still a little swoopy? See, the reason that we learn volume is so that we understand how these things work, even if they are simple. Because understanding where they work and how they work is what allows us to be able to move on to the next part of the body. Okay? Understanding how one works and how it connects like a connect the dots type of situation. Okay? Once you learn how they connect, it's really hard to unsee it. Double this, circle. And little by little, your brain just starts adjusting to the proportions that you enjoy. And you don't have to guess anymore. And once you stop guessing, then real creativity can kick in. If you keep guessing your whole life because you don't take the time to study, I don't know who told you art is easy, but it's not. Art's not easy. Art is one of the hardest things that people covet. Okay? People think of this as like a little superpower. And you're trying to be a part of that. So it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come like natural. And because it's not necessarily a natural thing to do. We don't we don't instinctively wait. We don't wake up knowing how to draw. Nobody does. Some people are just better at turning iconography in front of them into visual representations of it when they're younger. But nobody really understands what they're doing until they start taking it serious, like academically. So if you didn't start early, don't worry about it. The learning curve is much shorter once you actually get instruction. So you don't have to worry that if you start like 19 years too late, you don't have to actually be like, oh my God, I will never catch up to these kids. No, most of the time when we're young, we don't draw academically. We don't learn academically. We just draw the shit that we like, and therefore we kind of cement bad habits into ourselves more than anything. It's not like drawing 18 years before going to art school doesn't mean that you're going to be a better artist than the person that's starting. It's not. You might have worse habits and make it harder for anyone to teach you because you do have that 19 years of some would say inexperienced experience. And now you're going to think that the teacher doesn't know what they're talking about. Because now it's going to be harder for you to learn because now you have to unlearn. You know what I mean? Now you have to unlearn all the stuff that you are supposed to learn right. And if a person with a little bit of ego goes into a situation where they're supposed to be taught something new, well, guess what? You're not going to want to learn that because, you already did that. Oh my God, I learned perspective when I was like a kid. How many people can say that? I'll be right back. I'm going to blow my nose. I find that as I get older, the more mucus happens to happen in my body as I wake up. And I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It feels like I can't breathe when I'm talking. Ugh. Anyways, so how's everybody's day? Bro just got sidetracked a bit. Yeah, I did. That doesn't answer my question about expression, sorry. All right, so are you paying attention to how I'm drawing the human skull, right? The human skull in general is going to be a box, and you're going to focus on that midsection for your eye sockets. The eye sockets is going to be divided into two. So if we zoom in, we're gonna draw a little circle, like a Pokeball inside of here, and a triangle is gonna appear, right? If we divide this in half, this bottom part becomes our cheekbone. This doesn't really shift. This bottom part doesn't really move, okay? It's gonna stay stationary for the most part. If you have muscle or anything like that, that's gonna be the thing that shifts it. Now, the upper part of this little Pokeball is your eyebrow line. The eyebrow line can move and change and shift, okay? You can change that to anything that you require for your expressions. This becomes your eyebrow line. And then in the middle of this Pokeball, there's the middle of the Pokeball, and that becomes your eyeball. The eyeball has eyelids. But you already have the eyeball, the cheekbone, the eye socket, and the division for your shadows if you wanted to. Hey, Ari. Hey, hope today's been good to you. I had to make some coffee. Hey, how's it going? It's nice to see you here, Ari. I still don't know if it's Ari or Ari, so hopefully I'm saying your name right. All right, so now that we understand that, if we just play with a Pokeball and split it in half and give ourselves a triangle, well, now we have access to a whole human head with expressions and everything without much issue. Again, you double the Pokeball, and that's the top of your head. Okay, your ears fall within this midsection too, and they grow from the bottom up. And then if you have earlobes, they're below that line. So anything like an ear without the earlobe is going up. And then anything with an earlobe, let's say like a little earring part, goes below that. Dun, dun, dun. Wait, you want me to draw a bird? Yeah, this technique can be used for any animal. Anything with a skull. Check it out. Anything with a skull can be drawn. So if you want a little skull, but you want a bird, instead of drawing a little triangle small, draw the triangle big. And now you have access to a bird. Because animals that have same evolutionary traits are gonna have same evolutionary sizes for things. Okay? If you draw any circle later on, you're gonna be able to split that circle, draw two of them, and then do the same thing. You're gonna get good at being able to do this with several shapes. It's not just gonna be a box. You're gonna be able to draw these from anything. The box is just a training tool for this. Okay, the box is just training you to be able to see these shapes later on at that proportion. So if you take about it, this is only half of the entirety, right? So if it's half, well, if you split that in half, that gives me my profile. It's just half. And then this is half. So from the top, you see 3 parts. This is 1, 2, 3. So now if we do that, simple math, this means that it's a 3 by 3 grid. So understanding that, I just add one more section and I have 3/4. See how easy it is to see it once it clicks? Once it clicks, it's never gonna go away. Because these proportions are just basic and we see them every day in every human being that we see. So we're gonna acknowledge if they look right or not. I have trouble with the furthest eye space versus the top of the nose. Okay, so 3/4 view. So if we draw a box, we're gonna divide that in half. We're gonna divide that in half. To make it 3/4, I'm gonna give it some depth by drawing a little circle and matching the roundness of this side to this circle. Because essentially what you're doing is you're adding 2 circles. You're adding a cylinder on each side. That's essentially what you're doing. Right? Then from there, you have your little teardrop. The teardrop is gonna give you your nose canal and your mouth space. The top of where that nose canal ends is the top of your nose bridge. So if you wanna have it higher, draw it higher. Then from here, this turns into your eyebrow or your nose bridge. And then when you have your eyes in here like Pokeballs, divided by that triangle, that gives you the midline for your eye, which gives you that little crevice that happens on the side of the face. It happens on both sides, by the way. And part of the eye is getting covered by your nose. So you don't see it, even though it's still there in its entirety, right? It's there in its entirety, but you only see a little bit of it because your nose blocks it. And then when you add your eyebrows or your eyelids that go around your eye, that's what starts giving you a little bit differentiation between the eyes. But in itself, the shape of the eye is not any thinner or any smaller. It's just not seen as much. You just made my life 10 times easier. Well, hopefully you apply this stuff when you leave this stream. That is the biggest concern with me whenever I do these things for you guys, is that I will give you all this knowledge and then you guys will just sit there with no execution of the knowledge. So what I like to do, and I think I'm gonna do this for homework from now on, is for you guys to take 15 minutes out of your time after the stream. And I want you guys to apply this to something that would make you guys proud, okay? That is going to be the key. Understanding something is one thing, but applying the knowledge is going to cement it in stone for you forever. It's gonna go from being a little tutorial that you paid attention to for like 20 minutes to something that can help you and benefit you for the rest of your life. And the only difference is just taking a little bit of time to making sure that that knowledge is something that cements itself by drawing something that you think is cool with this information after we get off the stream. That is the easiest and the most convenient way for you to ever absorb any knowledge. And a lot of us don't do it, right? We assume, hey, well, I'll just remember this later. Yeah, that was easy enough. But a lot of the times we don't. A lot of the times we just kind of go like, oh, yeah, that was really cool. And then we remember, oh, wait, we learned something, right? I learned that before. And when you start seeing yourself fall into those patterns, well, it's because you are learning a lot, but then you are just forgetting all that knowledge because you don't decide to apply it. So 15 minutes after every stream will help you understand and cement any of this knowledge for the rest of your life, okay? So make sure to do that. That is your only homework that I will apply for you guys today, mostly because there's a lot of information that happened today. And I don't want to overwhelm you guys with giving you guys a ton of assignments that might make you guys feel like this is a chore instead of making it fun. So that is the one thing that I like to avoid when it comes down to my lessons. I'm making sure that you guys are actually enjoying what you guys are doing, as opposed to seeing it as a chore or a annoying habit that you guys have to keep on doing. If you make the boring, monotonous stuff that you need in order to improve, if you make this monotonous stuff that you guys might consider that, I don't, but some people do. If you manage to make this fun for yourself, then your success is inevitable. Inevitable. Because the only part that that separates a person from succeeding in a field is being able to be okay with the monotony needed to be able to get to greatness. That is it. A lot of things like being an artist require a lot of monotonous repetition and habits and exercises to be able to generate the masterful hand-eye coordination that is required to draw certain things. And the people that tend to enjoy and love the boring shit like life drawing and perspective and drawing endless amounts of exercises and things to improve their skill are the people that are going to succeed more likely than the other people that just try to run off of like, oh, I just want to do as much as I need to and that's it. Oh my God, they gave me assignments. Ugh. Oh my God, I have to do this. I was like, dude, if you complain about homework, you're not gonna get anywhere. If you're one of those people that complain about getting an assignment, you're not gonna get anywhere. Because whatever you get as an assignment is a minuscule compared to the duties that you're going to have to do in a real life situation, right? We do all these exercises and practice practice things so that whenever we do have access to being able to have an opportunity, aka work for a company you really like, or if you want to have a client or you really, really want to excel because you want a portfolio piece, that is when you apply all that knowledge. But your sketchbook's meant to be a learning tool, okay? This is a learning tool. You're supposed to mess up here. This is supposed to be messy. This is supposed to be not necessarily ugly at all because it's your knowledge, but it's not supposed to be every page being a wonderful, beautiful little like gallery thing. Your sketchbook is not that. I mean, some people do use their sketchbooks for that sort of stuff, but I don't think that they get as much as they should out of it. You know what I get out of this? Whenever I mess up and I see something that's even slightly uneven, like right here, right? I make a note of it. I draw over it. And then the next time I draw it, I'm not gonna make this little mistake, okay? I'm not gonna make that little mistake. By being kind to myself and not putting myself down whenever I do these sort of corrections, I'm not like, oh my God, I'm an idiot. I'm so dumb. Like, I never do that. I never talk bad about myself. I never, ever, 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 ever tell myself I can't do something. Even if it's the most difficult situational thing in the world, even if it's something that I know I can't accomplish. I never tell myself I can't do it. Because I'm my number one fan. Like, regardless of how you guys feel about me, I am my number one fan. And that number one fan can never, ever, ever be allowed to talk bad about myself. Because if my number one fan talks shit about me, I would be so demoralized that I would probably stop doing what I do. And it wouldn't take very long either. So you are your biggest fan. And if you allow yourself to be, you can be your biggest source of inspiration too. And I know it's hard sometimes because we don't really believe in ourselves and stuff like that, but I believe in you. I believe in all of you. And it's not just a generic platitude. I really do believe that with what I'm teaching, you guys can achieve all the things that I have at least. At least what I have achieved. And that's a lot. I'm a world-recognized editor, artist, illustrator, competitive Magic player, I'm a competitive pool player. I'm pretty cool. And I can teach you guys at least that. What kind of paper is in the sketchbook? Let's see. Where's the little... First of all, it's a Danique sketchbook. These are really cool. And let's see. Do they have it on it? Help build schools. Let's see, I have some over here that aren't open yet. They'll let me. So, yeah, they send me in bulk. They send me stuff in bulk. So, let's see. Hardcover sketchbook, 7x9, mixed media paper, 88 pages, and 120 pounds. Cool. Oh yeah, I have some for. I'm gonna give away a few too. I want to do like a whole sketch kit for 2 people at least. So once we get to a certain amount, I think once we get to 350,000 on TikTok, once we get to 350, I will do a little giveaway for a few people. And I'll do a bunch of bundle ones. So I'll release my new book and I'll give away a bunch of my new books too. I like giving stuff away. I honestly, it makes me really sad that I have to charge to be able to make a living. It really does. It makes me really sad because if it was up to me, I'd just give away everything for free. Honestly, I don't like the concept of money in general. I don't. It's always been something that is limiting for some people. Some people can't get the opportunities they need. And I didn't grow up with a lot. I grew up in struggling quite a bit. So it was always really sad when I couldn't take a lesson or a class because, we just couldn't afford it. So what I do now is I give lessons for free because I don't want anybody to ever feel like that, right? It took me having to pay like, what was it, like $60,000 to be able to finally be a part of a community because I paid for art school. And I'm lucky that I wasn't one of those people that ended up bankrupt and ended up like in a shitty situation because of it. I'm so happy and lucky that I wasn't the case. But a lot of my friends that I went to school with did. They ended up in horrible situations due to student loans. They ended up not being able to pursue their dreams because they ended up in survival mode right after school. So they needed to pay those student loans right away. It's just bad. Okay. So if I can, I'm going to make sure that people always have access to a drawing community for free. I do have to make a living at some point. So I will be making specialized courses for those people that want to learn a little bit more on certain topics. But in general, I am always going to release all the knowledge that I know. It's just going to be if you want a little bit more targeted knowledge or not. I'll also do study groups and stuff like that as well. For people that want to do like more digital or finished artwork, like for people that actually want to make illustration their career, as opposed to just learning how to draw, I am going to provide a bunch of new like options for you guys as well. But that comes in time, and that comes with me actually feeling like I want to further that side of my career. And right now it's more about just making sure that I get something out there. And that is what those streams are for, and that is what this knowledge stream is for. And with that being said, my friends, you guys are awesome. I have books for sale if you guys are interested in purchasing any of my sketchbooks. I have 2 sketchbooks, a pinup book, and another little one that's called Coffee Break Doodles. But that one's my little art book. That's my very first art book that I ever released, and it's not massive. It's not 100 pages. That one's just a nice little cute one if you guys want to know a little bit more about me. If you guys are more interested in the other ones, this one's going to be released probably today or tomorrow. This one is going to be really cool. It might take a little bit more to upload it to Amazon, but Raw Art Sketchbook number 1, it will be out today. And the Duotone Raw Art Sketchbook will be out sometime next week. I just got to come up with a cover for it. If you guys want to do warm-ups with my friend Wes over here, he is another teacher, and he is able to show you guys how to implement these lessons that I teach you guys maybe at a slightly more beginner level. And he helps you guys break it down in a way that makes you guys make sense of it as well. So if you guys want to learn a little bit more as well before you go onto the stream, he comes on before me, and he is able to help you guys with that too. Thank you so much for being my students. Thank you so much for being the best part of my day. You guys are an absolute delight to be teachers too. And I'm going to put this out there from now on. If anyone knows of a school or has an opening in their school for a teacher, I would love to be your teacher. So please do not hesitate to let me know that you guys have an opening and you guys would be willing to hire me, because that is my dream job, and I'm going to just start announcing that full wide for everybody to know. If you guys have an opening, I will fill it, because that is a dream, and I will relocate if I need to. I don't care. I'm pursuing my dreams now, and that doesn't matter where it is. I'm going to go follow. Have a lovely day, everybody. You guys rock. Paper and scissors. And I'll see you guys even probably a little later today for another stream. But we'll do it on YouTube this time. We gotta start diversifying, especially since we don't know the future of TikTok. So if you guys want to follow me on YouTube, that's where all these streams end up anyways. So you guys can go look at all the past ones, learn a lot of other things, and every single one of these pages, including every single one of my old sketchbooks, is a lesson. So you guys can learn a lot from me. Take care, everybody. Love you all. See you guys soon.